Down the rabbit hole we tumble once again, to a place you remember, but have never truly been, where dim moonlight shines on an age long gone by, where stranger things are happening, and you very well may die. A wonderland unlike any you've ever seen before, captured by a darkness that will shake you to the core. Time is running out. The light is almost gone. Will you become a queen or perish as a pawn? Welcome to Building Wonderland, Nightmares and Dreamscapes. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Building Wonderland, Nightmares and Dreamscapes. I'm your host, co-founder and head creative at Creative Catastrophe Games, Kyle Shaw, aka The Design Merc. Here to pull back the curtain, show you how we're creating this new TTRPG world coming to Kickstarter later this year. We're building the cover design for Module 7 of our 14 module campaign, so let's get into it. Sorry for the abrupt entrance there. It's been a second, been busy with lots of Wonderland business. How is everyone doing? We have got our template up for Module 7. Starting with a blank screen. Let's organize some things over here real quick, so I don't drive myself crazy later. And that looks good. Alright, so Module 7, the Timeless Clocktower. Well, if you know anything about Wonderland, folks, there happens to be a very famous character in Wonderland known as the White Rabbit. Yes, the White Rabbit. The White Rabbit is the character we are focused on today. Actually, we're not focused on him, we're focused on his house. Because in the original Wonderland, the White Rabbit had a home that I believe was visited in Wonderland, with a description of a bit of information what that looked like. More importantly, what has happened to it now? What has happened to it now is that on top of the White Rabbit's original home is now a clock tower. Now, this clock tower, in my estimable opinion, does not look like the house it was built on. It is more mechanical. It is more functional. It is a clock tower. It is built completely differently than the house that it sits upon, so it is obvious that this second, third, and possibly fourth floor to this particular structure was built several years after the original base. How are we going to make that happen? That is a very good question. I guess you'll just have to watch. So, first thing we're going to do is what we always do, check with Mr. Carroll. We are going to run into our GPT and say, "Hi, assistant. Please provide me a detailed description with references for the White Rabbit's house in Alice's." It would help if I could type. Typing is fundamental, kids. Alice's Adventures. Adventures in Wonderland. And through, wow, I really can't spell today, through the looking glass. Probably help if I could see my keyboard. That might be part of it. Where are his glasses? Very important piece to the puzzle, my friends. All right. House in Alice's Magic Wonderland and through the looking glass. Okay, let's let it chew on that for a second. And what it should do is end up giving us whatever bits and pieces there are in both books, specifically about the White Rabbit's house and visually what that looks like. Now, I already have in my head an idea of what I'm thinking this is going to look like. Um, have some, basic sketches of where I'm thinking this is going and what we've used for play testing. But I'd like to see how AI frames that and then edit it from there, just because it's going to end up using keywords and direct imaging from the book to kind of build this particular image for us as we go. I don't want to necessarily interrupt that process until it's needed by me, which is why we use human interaction with AI. Anyway, boy, this is taking its time today. That's right, chapter 4. Okay. That's fine. Alright, White Rabbit's house appears after the rabbit mistakes Alice for his housemaid, if you remember that. Mary Ann. Mary Ann. And orders her to fetch his gloves and fans. Okay. Review key fan. Here's my room. Excuse me while I read all this detail. You're looking glass. Okay. See a little strange and dreamlike. The house is large enough for us. Okay. When she drinks some water, she goes. Aha. Good to know. Okay. Lots of detail here. Sorry, lots of detail. Okay, very nice. Okay. Valuable design, visual design notes. Like small, tidy, fussy domestic cottage. Not a grand manner, the breakfast place. Ridiculous. Okay. Small neat cottage, roadside fashion. Uh-huh. Yes, very nice. Okay. Wonderful. Very nice. Okay. Chimney and fireplace. Let's remember that. Those are important. Through that's reference, there's no White House. Yes, I'm aware. Yes, okay. That has all the information I need. So, what are we going to do with the White Rabbit's house? So, described in Alice in Wonderland Chapter 4, the White Rabbit's house is actually very tiny. And Alice actually enters the White Rabbit's house as a tiny version of herself. She has shrunk and walked into the house because later in that chapter, she grows and grows out of the windows and doors of the house, if you remember the original tales. Anyway, that being said, how do we plan to build the house? Well, her house was quite small. Our house is quite the opposite. Our house is hotel sized. So we're going the opposite direction of the original book and going with something where the cottage itself is now massive. It can fit hundreds of people, if so chose to. Anyway, so we're going to blow this cottage up. But what does it look like? What does the outside of the cottage look like? Well, it's pretty nondescript. as far as the outside goes. But what I can tell you, chimney, fireplace, not the best constructed, maybe leaning a bit. And a front door with a bright brass plate that says W. Rabbit. Highly important. Otherwise, this appears to be a small, tidy, fussy domestic cottage, not a grand manor. So therefore, that is what we are going to do. Front door, a couple of windows on the side, crooked chimney on top, made of whatever. We want to say a nice wood front door of some shape, size, flavor. That has a brass plate on it. I think that'll work. Let's start with that. So let's tell Midjourney, or I'm sorry, let's tell GPT to work us up a prompt to start with and see where we go. Now, also, it's described to be in a kind of small glade or little offside area of the pathway, kind of like you would see a side road, and then you would see a house that or a neighborhood that was created on the side of that. Essentially, that's what Original Wonderland says as far as that particular outside area. So I think we can pretty much accomplish that. But that is just the beginning, because on top of that cottage is going to go a quite tall, quite picturesque clock tower. So let's get started with the base. All right. Okay. Using the information in the original description, create a mid-journey ready prompt. For an oversized and enlarged white rabbit's cottage, the size of a hotel. Keep all the original features, adding weathering, aging, and disrepair to the outside of the structure. Yeah, we'll leave where it is. I'll come back and grab that later. All right, let's go with that to start. What I'm thinking is going to end up happening is we're going to go ahead and grab some graphics from Midjourney that are going to give me kind of a general architectural sense of what this should look like. And then what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to end up removing the chimney from the top of the house itself, because more than likely the chimney is going to be in the way of where I plan on putting the actual clock tower coming through the roof or on top of the roof of the clock tower. Now, what we're planning on seeing in this cover image, if you have seen previous episodes or you happen to see Module 4, we built a mushroom, a very large mushroom tower, to be exact, and the view of it was from down below, looking up to an expansive, almost 20-story style mushroom. We are going to utilize the same kind of suspense and imagery in this particular image too, and try to show the sheer size of the clock tower and the cottage, uh, as well as making sure that you get a good view of just how enormous it is from the base. So you're not just inside it, or you're seeing the whole thing from afar. You're really right down in front of it and getting the enormity of what you're looking at. So that's what we're going to try to portray in this. Hopefully. All right. Let's go straight to the more gothic version because you know we like it gothic. All right. Let's drop that into Midjourney. Where we want portrait. Go with 7 for now. 200. Run me and see what we get. All right. We'll start with this. We'll try to get a good base and kind of outside design angle. What I'm thinking is probably going to end up happening is we're probably going to have to get the house itself first, maybe a little bit of land around it, figure out a completely separate tower. I'm going to have to slap those two things together. I'm going to feed that back into Midjourney and have it come up with a full image. More than likely, once we get there, we're going to have to chop it again because we want to get the angle for it. So we'll probably have to take that full image that we get, clean it up, feed it back into Midjourney, and then get the eyeball angle or the POV that we're looking for to be able to pull the whole thing off. So we're going to try it that way. This is definitely not what I was thinking, but I love it. This is going to be so interesting because this is not what I was thinking at all, but it's awesome. I was truly thinking just a standard like box cottage house. But because it really just says that it's at least 2 stories, we probably should limit. Well, that's 19 stories here. Um, but still, there's no limitation to the particular design, and this is Wonderland. So wild, psychotic, crazy things can happen, like whatever direction this house was built in. Um, yes, very interesting, very interesting. Okay. I kind of like where it's going. All right, we're gonna do this one more time to see what it comes up with. But while it's doing that, I'm gonna run back into um, here and go. Okay, we don't want the structure itself to be multiple floors like a hotel, just 2 floors, but we want it to appear the size or land space width of a hotel in comparison to the surrounding trees, glade, mailbox, etc. Like, how often do you get to say mailbox, etc.? You kids don't know anything about that, do you? All right, here we go. We don't want the structures. Yeah, let's try that. Yeah, because what it's doing is, because we didn't put any kind of specification on exactly how many floors this thing should be, it went wild. And that's perfectly okay. Although these are truly interesting. Truly, I mean, what is going on here? This is awesome. That is impressive. Definitely not exactly our style, but would be interesting to work with. See, these are great if they were just shorter and more expansive. It didn't quite get the hotel reference when I gave it to it. Not bad. Not bad at all. It's going to be very interesting if we go with this particular style of house and the way that it's architecturally constructed. It'd be very interesting to stack a tower on top of that, being that it seems like the tallest parts of each structure, regardless of what house you go with, seem to be pretty thin as far as the rooms go. You're looking at more like a town home or a row home than you are, at least that side of it, than you are a full size cottage. So it's going to be interesting what this comes up with to kind of even out what we were looking for. All right, let's go with the first style here, and if that gets weird, we'll go with the next one. A couple of these. All right, still weird and wild. It's crazy because I'm totally feeling Hobbit with this. Like, it was not what I had in my head. Let's see. You can go bye bye. Very interesting. Definitely not hotel size, but I'm guessing we're gonna have to take that step too, because Journey, or at least GPT is not quite picking that up, which I don't blame it. It's still working with 6 fingers. You can't expect too much. Right, we're gonna try another prompt here real quick, see what it gets, and if that is not flying, then we're just gonna have to make this up ourselves, kids. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you put the information into GPT, and what it comes up with, you're like, that's not what I was thinking at all. Like, not even close. Right. I love how this one has a satellite dish. No, he does not. Yes, he does. That is a satellite dish right there, kids. Wabbit. That's awesome. W. Rabbit. this is why we have professional editors. You can't put this on anything. It's a wild hunk of shit. You can't do that. It's got a pipe sticking out of the ceiling, and there's a bird up there. That's a satellite dish. That clearly says Wabbit, and we are not in Looney Tunes. I think the mailbox has a light on top of it. That looks like a corded phone. I don't understand what's going on here. Anyway, sorry I kind of wigged out on that, but these are a little insane. Ah, was not at all what I was thinking. Uh, and I'm sorry, but this does not look 2 story. These are all like 7 story. Do you not know what 2 story is? Okay, let's go back to the beginning here. Uh, you know what? We're gonna try one more thing, just for shits and giggles. We are going to try a more updated version of Midjourney. I expect nothing. I expect absolutely nothing on this. I just want to see what it does. Okay. This is actually better. This is actually more what I was thinking. Okay. I don't know what all of that is, but this is all right. Okay. I'm not against it. It looks like it's 300 floors, which is not the program, but I like where we're going. Oh my gosh, guys. The stuff we deal with design and AI is just. It doesn't have one chimney, it has four. It has four chimneys. One mailbox, four chimneys. Oh, that's wild. I'm sorry, I'm entertained by this because I started out, before I went to school, I actually started out going into architecture and drafting and was big into architectural design and wanted to be an architect when I grew up and all that stuff. Obviously, changed paths drastically. But I was very interested in how homes were constructed, how buildings were constructed, the design of them, the aesthetic of them, the functionality of them, all that fun stuff. So stuff like that when you see a completely deranged version of a house. Like I love the plaque. Oh, you can't even see it. Here we go. Now you can see it. The plaque for W Rabbit is all the way up here on what looks like the third floor, fourth floor maybe. I'm not sure how big that's supposed to be, but I'm guessing you can see it from the street. These little like white, I don't know what those are. It's like little gloves or something. Multiple chimneys. I love it. I love the multiple chimney thing is wild. I actually kind of dig that. Hmm. No, see, I don't want. I still want it to be the two floors. I just want the two floors to be bigger. I don't want it to be. Yeah. So let's talk to GPT again. Okay. All of the buildings coming out of Midjourney are multiple floors. This cottage, though oversized, can only be two floors. Let's go. Let's verify. Let's check. Check. Can it only be two floors? Let's see. Neat little house. Yeah, see, I think the key here, and I wanna kind of, I guess not just address this, but I guess kind of focus on this is even though the house needs to be larger physically in size to be able to support the structure of the tower that goes on top of it, it still just needs to look like what would be a tiny cottage just blown up. So what I need to tell GPT, mhm, what I need to tell GPT is that we just want the small cottage, and I'll deal with the perspective shift because it's messing that up right now, and it's giving me something I don't want. So let's try a different direction. Okay, let's try a different direction, keeping with the design style. Create a prompt for just a small cottage with the with the using the description from Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and forget the rest of the other prompts. Get the rest of the other prompts and just focus on inaccurate cottage. Period. All right, let's try that again. I was absolutely wrong on doing it that way. Again, that's what happens when you overestimate what AI is going to be able to pick up for you. I could have put in everything that I wanted about the way I think this clock tower should actually end up looking, and it would have spazzed out for the next hour. So it's better that we break it down into pieces, and you'll end up seeing that as we go forward. That if we would have kept on this direction with the houses that it was giving it or giving us, we will not end up where we're gonna end up eventually. So better that we chop it up into pieces, manually edit it, put this thing together, feed it back through AI so it can kind of simplify images and clean things up and make sure it looks like all one piece, and then bring it back out and use that as the cover. Edit it from there. So here we go. New prompt. We're gonna try just taking a small cottage. Let's just go back to basics. These are amazing. I mean, I kind of want to live there. I think the triple chimney is awesome, but I don't know if we're gonna be able to pull that off with this. So let's just go with Les Small Cottage. Here we go. This is what we were looking for. All right. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, so how do we want to do this? Do we want to do this straight on? Do we want to do it at an angle and design the whole thing at an angle? Probably better if we do that, right? All right, let's do a couple of these, a handful of them. We get some different results, stuff to play with, and then we will boom, 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 boom. We'll do this one too. Bump that up for a couple as well. All right, so what do we got here? Okay, so all very similar, all very tiny cottages. Good. Chimney off to the side there. That's not bad. That would be very interesting, right? Very interesting. Nah, it wouldn't work with the steps. So we're gonna have to end up doing is whatever we end up picking up here. Ooh, I like that. I do kind of like that. Whatever we end up picking up here, we're going to end up having to do some perspective changes on it to where we're going to have to rip it out of wherever location it's in, because we're going to have to make the location look smaller rather than expanding the size of the house. But right now, let's just focus on finding the right house. What does the rabbit's house look like? They don't give you a lot of details, so it's kind of on us. I do really like the mossy, like the tree covered and mossy covered roof. That's pretty awesome. Interesting, it's built into a tree. I'm sure some of you are wondering, well, what are you doing in the Timeless Clocktower? What does the inside look like? What is what is the module and the encounter about? Yeah, I can't tell you that. Sorry, that's a secret. That's got to stay up in here, kids. I'm gonna have to design it without giving you that information, because that is part of the competitive campaign. That's right. That is part of the 14 module competitive campaign, where we intend to drive you wild, and more than likely you'll die several times during that campaign. However, we cannot give you the details, or too many details anyway. Otherwise, It wouldn't be competitive. You'd be able to cheat. Can't have that. Can't be having that. I don't know. That's kind of small. That's a little tiny. I mean, it was kind of what I was looking for. Something super simple, right? Because think about it, real rabbit size. It was actual, like, rabbit size. We took this and we blew it up huge. And then put tower on top of it. I mean, it has promise. It has promise. That's a possibility. Kind of like that one. That is very watercolor painted. Dig it. Painted. Question is, what do we want to go with? How much do we want to maximize the cottageness, I guess is what we're looking for. Is how much do you want to maximize just how small it is. In real life. Like if it were to be his actual size house that fits him on a regular basis, what size would that be? Then what size would the smaller house be? And then what size would the hotel size house be? Something all those things in my head at the same time, trying to make sure that we can translate this back and forth if we need to later post this campaign, because obviously this is quite a landmark. We want to make sure that we get it right. So I definitely like the smaller homes like this. I'm kind of enamored with this whole completely moss covered, like, yeah, like it looks like it's overgrown, and yeah, I kind of like this. Okay, so let's say, for instance, we're going to try this one just because, and I feel like it. Why not? We're going to take this, and we're also going to zoom out 2 times on it. We're going to grab this one. We're going to throw it into the old shop. Here we are. And here we go. We got a little bit further in the woods, but it's the same house. That's what I like to see. Okay, what do we got here? That looks very real. That looks very real too. So, very real. A little more painted, right? I can deal with that. All right, so we take this one as well. Because in order to give it scale, we have to actually have scale already to start with. So why did it just paste the same thing? That's not what I asked for. I asked for you, sir. There we go. All right. To make this work, we're going to fill the entire cover with the zoomed out version, just so we can see the whole landscape here. Go a little bit more. Yeah, a little more like this. Okay. Now that I'm thinking about it, we might actually have to zoom out the landscape one more time because we want to make the house itself, even though it looks like a cottage, we want the clearing to be huge. So let's try that. Just to see if it works. We have to do it manually, but we'll find out. There we go. That should give us a little more land to work with, a little more room to run. Okay. I don't know what is going on with these trees. Trees are a little wild. Ground's a little wild. That's okay. We actually like that in Wonderland. Looks real for me, but we'll deal with that later. Alright. I think that'll work because what we'll be able to do, should be able to drop this into Photoshop. Let me do it before I run my mouth. It's not going to work. Let's do this instead. Pretty sure I can drop it here and cut out the trees that I don't need. Get them out of the way. So let's get rid of this nonsense. Now you may be saying, oh, you're getting rid of the entire landscape, you're getting rid of everything around it. No, just remember, we've got a lot of steps to go through. Right now we're getting focused on just making sure we get the size of this house in the landscape. We're going to lock that in first. We'll build the tower on top of that. Once we get it looking kind of the way we want it, then we'll start feeding it back into AI and getting different like sizes and versions and shapes and whatever. We'll figure it out from there. You got to get the base down first. What we need is more room over here, and it keeps giving me more forest. So we try again. That is what we do. That's better. We can use that one. Oh, we can use that one too. Yeah, let's start with that. Alright, so we're going to get rid of that first. Then we're going to get rid of all of this. Trust me, we're going to rip most of this background out so I have more expansive space to put this house. But we still want to keep we'll bring some foliage back in once we fit the house properly. But yeah, I can't have a big rock in the middle of the way. What is that? We doing Legos now? What's going on there? Oh, nice. Condos. Rock. Old well. Old retention water system. I'm not sure what's going on there. Alright, obviously that was too much for it to handle at one time. Totally understand. Been one of those weeks. So, let's try just this lovely shrubbery up here. We'll do it one piece at a time. It may take a minute, folks, but I promise we will get through it together. So while we're clearing all this out, just so everyone knows, these episodes are now officially on YouTube. You can actually check out every one of the Building Wonderland episodes, starting from the real beginning, all the way beginning of Module 2. You can check those all out on YouTube right now. Just search for Creative Catastrophe Games on YouTube, and you will find us along with all of our current trailers for Wonderland, Nightmares, and Dreamscapes. They are all up there. We have, obviously, new episodes, including the one you're watching right now, coming out every day as we ramp up to our Kickstarter. We've got a lot going on. We've got prototyping and sourcing we're doing. A lot of behind the scenes action happening right now. The studio is being built, or at least what we're going to use as a studio is being built for our eventual behind the scenes series where we talk to you collectively about what's going on in Wonderland, Nightmares, Dreamscapes, what you can expect from the game, what you can expect from the Kickstarter, what wonderful magical toys and prizes we have in store for you. All of those things and more will be revealed on the behind the scenes episodes or Beyond the Looking Glass, coming soon. Right now, we are focused on, and thankful that we just got the YouTube up. So go check that out. Like, subscribe, follow, all that fun shit, whatever it is you guys do these days. Lurk, watch episodes, hang out, put it on the background. We love all that. Share with your friends, tell everybody. Main purpose of this particular stream that we're creating here and what we're doing with the YouTube is really just to give you guys a behind the scenes look of how we're actually producing this particular TTRPG, and the process that we're using has nothing to do with anybody else's process. As I've said many times before, I am not from the D&D world. I am a professional graphic designer that was pulled into this by his partner Philip, who is a 20-plus year DM and is very excited about this project and is our master mechanic and campaign creator. He convinced me to join this project, and together we are putting together what we hope will be not only a fantastical new version of Wonderland, but something that you guys will really enjoy playing for years to come, because we do intend on not just putting out this campaign, but several others in this particular world when we get the chance. I love how this thing just built now we have a waterfall behind the White Rabbit's house. Did not ask for that, but also not in the books, not described, so it could be there. All right, I will take it because right now I need the landscape area. But very interesting they decided to do that. All right, let's peel this back here. Yes, so good times, good things. Everything is moving forward very well. Nothing but green lights, nothing but go. We like it. And we are going to continue giving you new episodes of Building Wonderland every day, every weekday. We're not psychotic, we take weekends. And very soon, hopefully this week, we'll be starting something a little snazzier. We'll be starting Building Wonderland After Dark. That will be our 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or after. Not entirely sure when we're going to do those episodes, so you will be notified via Twitch if you follow. If you don't follow, you're not going to know. You're just not. That's not going to tell you. They will eventually be up on YouTube right after that, but we are going to start those hopefully this week. And those Building Wonderland episodes, Building Wonderland After Dark, be a little spicier. A little spicier. A little wifeier. Wifeier will be here. She's going to do a few episodes. Going to take a little bit of the filters off, maybe give you a little bit more info on what's going on in the world of Wonderland as we get ready to kickstart here not too long. Fall of this year, it's creeping up, folks. It's getting close. Everybody keeps asking us, when can I buy it? Where can I get it? Hold on to your pocketbooks, kids. A few more months, you're going to need it. All right. Now we're going to take the big house. We are going to blow it up and try to slap it in here. Not even sure if this will work, but we're going to try. Foliage might not be far enough out to pull it off. We shall see. We want to do. Very good question. And you know what? We are going to ask it during this break because you know what? We've been running for about an hour. We're going to take a break here for a few minutes and figure this out. Decide, how exactly are we going to make the house hotel sized? That's going to be a good trick, but we will find out as soon as we get back. And we are back. How's everybody doing? All right. So what we're going to do is we are going to increase the size of our little cottage here a bit. Just a bit. Leave all of this stuff exactly where it is. We're going to see where this bad boy goes. This is one of those design processes where we're kind of winging it stepwise as we go because it's going to depend on, how it looks, like everything else. So if we made this big instead, at what size does it need to be? You go, that doesn't belong there. Obviously, that's blurry as shit, but that's the point. Yeah, that's going to be tricky. If we make it a little bit bigger, I think we may end up doing is just taking this, making it a little bit bigger than what we've got here. And then you know what? Let's back it up for a second because part of what we're missing is something in the front here other than shrubbery that tells me that this is the size of the building. So we're going to use Best way to go about doing this. Sorry, folks. There's like 7 ways to do this, and I'm trying to figure out the right path to take. Do that. Let's try this. Let's take this image from here. I'm going to put it into GPT. Say, using the attached image, create a prompt for Midjourney that will keep the size of the house, but make all of the foliage and trees around it small, large enough to see, but incredibly short compared to the size of the house. Let's see if they can figure that one out. I don't have high odds. I'm not betting on that one. See, what I'm thinking is, unfortunately, even if I shrink or if I increase the size of the house, with the vagueness of the shrubbery, you're not really going to be able to tell that the house is incongruently bigger than what's around it. It'll just look like the shrubbery smaller. Like this will go from this area here, instead of being overgrown all the way to the side of the steps, will end up being like a little bush down here. It just looks like somebody didn't mow that. Like it's not enough to get the visual across. So we have to work on that first. All right, let's try this one. We're gonna feed it this image. It's an Omni reference. Paste our thing in. We are using 8.2. Oh, okay, 100. Right, do that, and yeah, run with it. Let's go. What we got here? Thinking about it. Thinking about it. Interesting. What in God's name did you do to this house? Hmm. All pretty much the same exact thing without doing what I actually asked. That's kind of what I thought. So maybe the best way to do it would be to have it design the house. No shrubs, no nothing. Clean bottom half of the house. All the stuff on top of the roof is fine, but get rid of all the shrubbery. cut out the house, make it whatever size we need to make it in the forest background we have. Um, and try it that way. However, we're gonna have to redo forest background because we need to have full-size trees that you can see. So I have to zoom that way out. So maybe I got it. All right. So we've got our house, or at least our house style. We want a, quaint little cottage like this. Okay, we got that part. We need to rip all the shrubbery off the floor. We rip the shrubbery off the floor. We cut around that house. Now we have the house. Okay. Once you have the house, you're back in the mid journey. You create the background, which, in order to get it sized right, has to look like a clearing with full size trees, and it's zoomed far enough out or far enough away that the trees end up looking small, and then we put full size house back in that image, and the trees and, like, say a mailbox or something make it look make it look like it's completely oversized compared to the landscape. So that's how we have to do it. All right. So what we're gonna do is go back in here. Let me get a prompt for the same house, but from without any foliage outside of what's on the roof and upper floor at a 3/4 angle. Open glade. This way we should be able just to cut the house out of this thing, just chop it out, clean it, slap that wherever I want to slap it later. So like that house, I don't need the shrubbery on it anymore. That shrubbery, unfortunately, when you translate the house to larger or smaller sizes, it travels with it, so it kind of throws off the whole, misdirection that you're trying to throw there, because that shrubbery never changes uh, size, POV, converse to the house. It's always along simultaneous with the house. So you're never going to get that incongruency with everything else around it. So we clean the house off, get it blank. We add shrubbery to it later. Again, not the first time we've done that. Done that in the cover. So let's grab this bad boy. Put him in here. Yada yada. Try it again. We on 8.2. We're on 8.2. See, now these are looking all hobbity. Hobbity. Not that I'm against that. I love hobbits. Just wondering how in the hello I'm going to be able to build a tower on top of that. So I'm kind of digging this. Paint it. Try this again. No. Okay, let's try this again. All right. While these are nice, they are part of the prompt decided to make them cinematic. So when you zoom in, they are not really the paint style that we are using, the watercolor style that we're using. So I'm having it rerun the prompt through again, but with that watercolor style because, you know, let's try to keep it real. As much as humanly possible while we can. These aren't too bad, though. Kind of like where it's going. Definitely getting the sign wrong, but that's alright. We're going to rip that off and put something new there anyway. Not too worried about it. Now I asked it to do a 3/4 of the house because a lot of the ones we were getting before, as you can see down here, are all direct front facing the front door. You don't really get the dimension of the house that way. Plus, when we end up going to the later version, it ends up going on the cover where our POV is on the ground and we're looking up straight to the tower we're going to build on top of it. We want to give Midjourney enough dimension on all sides to be able to build that image. So if we have it early on and we start with it early on, we got a better chance of getting more accurate results later on. Ah, Gracie Boos, here we go. Little baby kitty, good to see you. Thank you for coming to visit. Hi. Alright. Let's go with slightly stronger this time. Delete that because I don't know what that is. Give that a shot. Give it a shot. Here we go. That looks a lot better. Thank you. Now we're getting some paint. All right. That's actually not too bad. It did give me the shrubbery, though, which I asked it not to do. Okay. Let's try this one more time. Not in here, in here. Okay, this is the prompt I'm working with, and the style is great. I need foliage. Needs to be completely greenery. Alright, let's try that again. Yeah, didn't quite get the house only, no greenery, no foliage. Didn't quite catch that, so. These are better, though. These are better. You know, you get rid of these foliage stuff down here, and we're getting in the right direction. I do kind of like the having the second awning, like the secondary window of the house. I like, you know, that style because then what we'll end up doing is if we are able to get something that looks kind of like this with all the shrubbery and stuff, we will be able to build the tower so that it like fits into this particular angle and like castles right in there. Or we're gonna try anyway. All right, let's try it again. Okay. Bam. See what we get this time. Ooh, it cranked that right out, didn't it? Okay, better. That a little bit. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Okay. I don't mind that so much. We need some more greenery on the roof. I'm missing that. Exactly what I'm looking for. But need more and overgrowth. Alright, let's try that. We're gonna let it come up with something a little bit better because I'm not getting quite enough, not quite as moshy on the roof as I'd like it. I can add moss, but why? Like, I kind of like the way these are. They aren't too bad. I just need the no shrubbery at the bottom. Don't actually mind like the blown out windows and whatnot. Well, not on this one. This one didn't have it. This one. This actually isn't bad. I kind of like that. Doesn't have to be, but you know, add some extra blah to it. All right. Go. Let's try it again. One more again. Here we go. One more round with the aunties. There we go. Now we're back to a little bit more Hobbitville. Let's see what we got here. Okay, this is a little more what I'm looking for. Granted, it's still got shrubbery down at the bottom. It just like cannot separate those two. May have to figure that out myself. Pretty good. I don't know what's going on with those windows. Might just blow those out completely. Got the crooked windows too. I like that kind of crack there. It's got a little bit more character to it. One more run, and then make a decision based on these here. Oh my, now we're getting into Dr. Seuss territory. Yeah, it's getting very Seussy. Like, this is just a landslide of moss and overgrowth. That looks like it's the size of a church. I think we're gonna go back over here. We're gonna go with I think we're gonna go with this guy. I think we're gonna go with this guy. Let's try it. Let's do this, and then we'll do a zoomed out one of this too. Just to have it. going to go with something like that. Another 2x1 just to see if it can pull it all the way out. So we want to try this bad boy here. Let's throw him into Photoshop. Yeah. Then we're going to grab this guy. Right? Grab that dude. Him there. Sorry, I'm yawning. It's been a long day already. I was up at 5:30 this morning. Okay, not going to use most of that, but it is in an open glade, and that's nice. Let's go with this version. I think I get the best looking for out of that. All right. Now we got these three. I think we can nice that, and we're going to play with these for a little bit. So, go ahead and blow this thing up real quick because I just want to see what it looks like size-wise. All right. There we go. It's a little more eco-friendly in the glade front. There. Really, all I'm doing right now is testing. I'm testing to see how this is actually going to look once we strip the house, do the things we need to do to it to make it fit in the actual frame, and get rid of all the the mossy stuff down at the bottom. But in order to do that, I also need to kind of space out how it's going to look if we put a tower on it before I do all that work, because it would really not be cool if we skipped this step and then got 3/4 of the way done building the tower and then look back at it and went, oh, we sized this whole thing wrong. That would not be good. So we're going to check it out now before we get deep into it. It looks a little, it looks like we're doing a side quest. I understand. But I promise it has a purpose. And besides, we don't have to get this cover done today. This can, we can take our time on this. We took how many? I think 9 episodes to knock out Module 2. That cover took, whoo! That was a monster. 25 plus hours, something like that. 100 plus layers. 120 layers, I think, by the time we're done with it. This, I don't believe, will be that complicated, but we do want to do, of course, want to do our best. And if you have not been watching and somehow stumbled on this channel and this particular video, Wonderland Nightmares and Dreamscapes is a brand new, coming soon TTRPG, 14 module campaign, and field guide of Mad Monsters that will be here this fall, kickstarting fall of 2026. Moved it back just a little bit because we want to make sure we get enough ramp up time. We want everything to be ready for you guys. So that will work. All right. We got rid of most of the nonsense. Let's get rid of this. There we go. Debating whether we should get rid of that tree. I don't think we want to get rid of it yet. Whole idea is let's take this bad boy, blow him up. Enormous. Before we do that, let's get rid of the downstairs shrubbery if we can. I'm not even sure it'll let me, but we're gonna try. Not in English. All right, well, it's removing. One sec, I'll be right back. All right, sorry about that. Need an Oreo break. Get some sugar. All right, sorry about that. Need an Oreo break. Sometimes you just have to stop what you're doing and get an Oreo. See if we can one by one remove the shrubbery. think that's about as clean as we're going to get, to be honest with you. With the watercolor, age of the house, all that stuff. It'd be very difficult to get much cleaner than that. Hey, that didn't do too bad. Look at that. Okay. Yeah, that didn't do too bad. Take a look here. We can actually go with that one and do a little additional removal. Should be alright. This right here. For some reason that didn't come out very sharp, so we're gonna sharpen it before we slap it in there. Better. Now we're going to get rid of, or try to get rid of, all of this nonsense. We want to try to get around the house as clean as humanly possible, and it is not understanding that. Of course it isn't. It does not want to remove that. Okay. That's fair. Let's start with up here then. We'll see if we can remove this. And if not, then I'll just erase it. Or, I don't know, put more sky over it. Something. Clean that up, does it? That's okay. We'll do it the old school way. This right here, guys, is why it helps to have some of those old school techniques in your back pocket, because the AI stuff does not always work. Sometimes you have to go old school and make it work for you. We are going to blend this piece I just cut into the side of the roof here. It all looks like one thing. Okay, so we got that in there. Now we can erase extra that we do not need much. And we want it just there. Okay. And see, just like that, that piece is gone. Problem is, we have to do it for the rest of it too. We're going to move this over. We're going to give it one more option to do this our way. I don't think it's going to take it. But I like to give second chances. Not better, not too bad. Go with that for a minute. Sometimes you got to do removals in pieces because it's just too big an area for it to really comprehend what's going on when needs to be done. Mm-hmm. We go. Now it's a lot cleaner than when we found it. Not a ton, but enough. All right. We got that going on. We got that going on. Let's try to get these out of the way too. I know you might think, oh, those aren't in the way. What the hell are you doing? They're about to be in the way. They're not in the way at the moment, but they will be. So we're going to try to get rid of them before they become a problem. New. Not quite. Almost. Why can you not just trim that grass? I mean, that's better, but E. All right. All right. We'll do it this way. That's fine. Get rid of this. Get rid of all these. Thank you. Object. Yeah, that's pretty close. Wild. Stick with that. Now we'll go back and we'll trim that out just a little bit. There we go. Okay, now we've got our house. Let's go ahead and get rid of some of the nonsense that we don't need. Kind of like the windows bashed in like. I feel like this one needs to get fixed, but. I kind of like that one the way it is. That removed my window. Where's my window? Replace window with similar style and composition. Try that. Kind of, but no. Also no. Also no. Apparently we live in Miami now. What's going on here? No. 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 None of those. You know, it should not be very hard to get a similar window to what we already have on the screen, but for some reason, another one of those things it is not good at. Alright. Fair enough. What we will need to do is find ourselves another window. Aren't horrible. Like something better though. Why are all these windows garbage? Literally every single one of them. No, those aren't bad. Might work. Those look like trash. Okay. Oh, there we go. That's what we were looking for. All right, let's grab these. We're going to legitimately steal these windows. Nope. Jack that. We're gonna delete you. We're gonna take that layer that we jacked and we're gonna put it right here. We'll lighten a little bit so I can see through it. So I can place it. Look at that. A little bit off, but that's all right. We can fix that with a little angling. Look at that. Good eyes. Good eyes. Maybe that to fit in the window. Yeah, I think that'll work. Lee, we have a winner. Yeah, that looks good. All right. So now we take this and blend in our window. Go to blend it in so the wood shades match. We don't have lighting problems. over here like you do. Don't want to make it look like you get two different styles of wall, two different colors of wall, lights coming from the wrong direction, that kind of stuff. There we go. That part of it. That's part of it. All right, let's not do that part. This right. Do this part. Come back for that in a moment. Now let's fade this nonsense out of the way. Just a little bit of shadow, that's it. Alright. Telling you folks, half my job these days is just fading and shading. That's what we do now, is fade and shade. Nothing wrong with that. Just a slightly different process than what we used to. I mean, we did a lot of blending, but not quite this much. Back to the blending. Yeah, we do a little more blending now than we used to, just because I think it's honestly specifically because we're able to get more accurately designed graphics to use as stock photography and clip art, because we're able to do that now with AI. It's easier to be able to take or get multiple versions of the same image with just slight variations in them. And sometimes those variations, even though we can't get all the variations we want in one image, we may get all the pieces that we want to put together for one image in 3 images, and it makes it easier to blend those together when all of them are kind of constructed the same, they're the same style, rather than messing around with stock photography and stock imagery and then having to go through, different suppliers and lighting and things like that. Like, none of that stuff is ever the same, so we have to fix it on our side. And this makes it a little bit easier to blend things together, but in doing that, rather than you having one clip art image or one image that from stock photography that you can use to work on a particular project, we can be a little bit more discerning and say, okay, like, we like this house, but there's like 3 or 4 different things we want to edit about it, so we can just go back into Midjourney, have it repopulate this house multiple times with the changes and edits that we want, and then kind of mask those in, shift them in and whatnot, and everything looks so much nicer than it would if you were trying to do that with a stock photo that was a completely different style from a different era. So yeah, that window looks like it naturally belongs there, which is great. That's exactly what we wanted. What else do we want to do? Pop these 2 together. I mean, I think we can get rid of this entirely because it not canon accurate. Those are the kind of things we pay attention to. The sign is a brass sign on the door, and I'm guessing we're going to put that on there manually. So I will worry about that at a different time. That is what we were looking for. We were looking to fix door frame. Let's fix some spots in here while we're at it. All right, that looks pretty good. Alright, I think we kind of have our house that we're looking for. Now, what we gotta do is strip out the bottom of it and drop it in there. Let's see. Do that. Duplicate this first before I start messing with stuff and screwing things up. And let us play. Don't. See, with that tree right there, it just looks like it's... I got an idea. Alright, let's take this. Take this. We're going to... remove this. Enough. These. Yeah, see what I'm thinking is I'm thinking we may just have to build the tower kind of in this glade the way it is, build the whole thing and then kind of pull it out of that, put it in a different background that has like the tiny trees and like the tiny other things around it that are full size, but the house now looks bigger. I think that might be a better way to do it because otherwise we're going to create all this like landmass and then not know if the tower will actually fit in there. So we should probably do that first. Let's remove this pathway. Again, sometimes we're just guessing here, kids. Sometimes we're just, shooting from the hip and winging it as we go. We do know a few things, like for instance, if we are going to use this particular building here. You're the full-size one, or the copy. Oh, you're the big one we blew up. Okay, let's not do that. let's get this one. That is the other version that we're not going to use anymore because we edit that. Okay. Just deleting stuff we don't need and stuff we don't want. All right, that's that. Okay, let's go ahead and move this chimney before we start messing things up. This bad boy in a completely different spot. He is going over here. Somehow see him over there. That's a good point. There, but he's in the center. Put it like there. Yeah, I think we do that. We put it there, and that way the tower can be basically in front of it. And the way we do that is by erasing around the edge. It looks like it is part of the roof. There we go. Just erase around the edges here a little bit. And we'll probably do some fading here in a moment. Boom, 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 boom. All right. Corner work there. Get rid of this. Clean, 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 clean. The idea is to make it not look like we pasted it there. No, that is exactly what we just did. Clean around those edges as best you can. Make it look like they're the whole time. All right, so the chimney is there. We need to fade it up just a little bit, or mask it up just a little bit, because, yeah, this doesn't look like it matches very well. It doesn't look like it's part of the roof, so we are going to kind of mold it in here a little bit. There we go. Make it part of the roof installation. Very nice. Very nice. Okay. And there we go. Now we should be able to remove the original roof. I'm sorry, not the original roof, the original chimney out of the way. Badoom, and nobody will know the difference. So there we go, and now all in peace. All right. And now, background here, the bigger house. All right, next trick, I'm going to be duplicating this house, putting this bad boy down there. And we are going to try to match this house to just a little bit over, I think, the size of the house behind it. Yeah, I think that should take care of it. Make this sharper. Looks like we can. All right. All right, let's remove some things over here. All right. I know this seems like a much longer process around getting to the actual building of the house, but there's a reason we do it this way. I need a bigger version of the base cottage, because you never know when that's going to come in handy, especially if we do additional images later on, which we more than likely will, because that's how this works. We want a higher resolution, larger version of it, so we can zoom in and just get the base of the cottage. We'll probably use that later on in processing or in production. So it's better to have that now and then put it in smaller, build the tower, make sure those are exactly the same, and be able to kind of produce from there. Work. Let's do that. rid of all of this. Too much for it to remove, but we're going to try. Couple more things to get out of the way, and then we'll drop the other house on top of this. Get some. End up being considered obstructions out of the way. Go. This can kind of fit ish here. All right, so if we do that, and we already duplicated it, so we don't worry about that. All right, we're gonna leave that where it is. I'm not gonna blend it in yet. Just saying. We're gonna leave that where it is. Is there anything else we need to change with this? I don't think there is. I think that's pretty good. All right, so we're gonna save this just because we can. Time to create a new folder for cover or mod 7. Go. Make that cover template. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We are also going to we are going to save our original house just in case, because you never know when that will come in handy. Got that in there. All right. Now we're back to this. We are about 2.5 hours in. It is about 3:20. Why don't we take about a 10-minute break? Take a little potty break, and we will be back to start playing with our tower.